Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of the program. We're talking to Josh Barnett and David Jose. I'm so excited. Now, when we left off on the program, we were talking about state rights versus federal. And in the previous show, you have to go back if you haven't watched it, but we also talked about how we have been lied to, kind of. So we have been lied to. We are believing the opposite, that the laws are to limit us and not the government. Okay. And it's been so twisted lately. So, and I've been encouraging people when they talk to me, they leave with a smile because they are so scared of what's happening in DC. And I said, stop being scared of what's happening in DC and focus on your state. And look at Arizona, for example. They are recalling a bunch of people that do not deserve to be in a leadership role. They are not servant leaders. They have hurt the Arizona people and they deserve to go. And they violated laws. They deserve to go. They're trying to hide this audit. They've tried to play games. They've tried to not go with the subpoena. They wouldn't even look into an election, and they certified an election that their people felt was incorrect and wanted it to be looked at. And they said, I don't care what you say. We're going to do what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm going to tell you it does matter what we say, and now they're being recalled. So for an example that I give people when it comes to, and David, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong with anything I say, because I am not a legal expert in any means. But I take the marijuana thing, for instance, okay? It is still federally illegal to consume and carry marijuana. However, in the state of Arizona, dispensaries are allowed. You can consume and carry and sell marijuana in the state of Arizona. So I tell people, who cares what gun laws they pass in Washington, D.C. If you have a strong state that has strong gun sanctuary laws that protects gun owners, who really cares what they do? Who really cares what they do? Because what the federal government was designed to do was to protect each state from foreign invaders, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, and to help with commerce between states. Those were the two main functions. And when I was in school, I went to public school. We still got somewhat educated. Nowadays, I really question that, but back then we still got somewhat educated. I remember sitting in junior high in our history class, and our teacher said that the Arizona's we're in Arizona, but their state legislature is actually the most powerful branch in the government because the states have their own rights and can do as they would like under the guise of the Constitution. And so the strongest branch of that government is the legislature because they represent the people. Am I correct on this, guys, or am I misleading my audience? Because I definitely don't want to do that.
The legislature is super powerful. The one thing that most people don't know is the legislature really isn't making laws to go against us. So when they see somebody say in the Congress, we're going to take everybody's guns away, they want you to presume they could do that.
Exactly.
When they say in Arizona, we're going to make everybody wear a mask, they want you to presume they can do that. I can show you one court case that will shock people's mind when they see what it says, because police only know it for one thing. Police know it for telling people their rights before they interrogate them. That wasn't even the most important part of the case. So I'll show you, if you want to type it in the internet, I'll tell you what the case is, the quote, so you can read it.
Hold on one second. Okay, go ahead.
Where rights,
where
W-H-E-R-E, where
okay.
Rights secured by the Constitution are involved.
Oh my gosh, that came up.
Okay, that's Miranda versus Arizona.
Yeah. Okay.
Click on it. I want you to read that for your people. You're gonna laugh.
Hold on. I want to see if I can share my screen first. Hold on. Let's see if I can share screen. Okay, share screen. Okay. Well, this is what's coming up. I don't know. Do you know have you seen this before?
That's just the whole case. I just wanted to show you part of it. So
Okay, this is what came
so
up.
So just go back. No, that's not it. Well, no, that's, wait, see, Miranda's, excuse me. That is it, but go back. I want to show you something.
Okay.
Okay, so we could read it off of here. Let's see, scroll down. Is that all your?
That's what came up when I said where rights secured by the Constitution are involved.
Here, let's finish typing. So go after where you put involved.
Okay.
There shall be no rulemaking.
No what?
Shall be no rulemaking.
Lawmaking?
Rulemaking.
Rulemaking.
Or legislation which would abrogate them.
Oh, thank you. Let me spell that word.
ABRO.
Okay, is there anything coming?
So see, right, okay, so here it is right here. Like if you look at the congressional record, it says man should not, and then it says where secure the Constitution are involved, there could be no rulemaking. That's somebody quoting part of it. Let's scroll down some more. Now, this came from the Supreme Court case, Miranda versus Arizona. Let's see if we see it somewhere where it says the, excuse me, the actual case name. Because I don't want to have to go search through the whole case. I want you to just see it written.
Let's see.
Okay, let's go back up.
I'm just gonna see if it's on page 2. The Miranda, because you have to be Mirandized if they want to talk to you. You have to know your rights.
They always talk about that part. They don't talk about this part in there. So you could just put the case on the end. Okay. So just put Miranda versus Arizona.
That comes up again. What it was, what was the constitutional issue? I wonder if that's it.
No. I want you to, because they're going to tell about everything that happened in the case. I just want you to see it written quickly. Let's see. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Because you can find it in the case. But I want, wait, is that it right there? See where it says 436? Let's see.
Right here?
That's the case. That's the actual case, but we'll have to, okay, go down one. You can see it written out in the one up under.
This one?
Talking about law enforcement, more effective law enforcement.
Oh, right here. See. Sorry, I can't find it.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Miranda, should I look under Miranda rights?
No, because Miranda rights will more so talk about them interrogating you first.
Mm-hmm.
Where we want to see just the quote. I think it might be, let me see, is it page 491 in that case? Let's click on the case. See if we have one that'll show us the case. I didn't want to go too far with it because I didn't want to mess up your video.
Do you know what it says, like off the top of your head? And then they can kind of look on their own since I can't find it.
It literally says where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there should be no rulemaking, which means no agency can make a rule over it, and no, legislation. So the legislature does not have the power to write a law that goes against any of the Bills of Rights or Declaration of Rights.
Correct.
And to help people to see that even more easily, because they think that they're the persons of government. The statutes talk about person is dealing with the government personnel. Is not saying if any one of the people does this. Is talking about persons who are in connection with the government. The common law already allows for any man or woman to take hold or have jurisdiction over anybody who does harm to you. So if anybody does harm to a man, you have the common law and a jury of your peers can tell if he did wrong or not. The statutes, they create a whole system, not for the people, but for things that if any of the persons in government do wrong against them, they can penalize them. But then the attorneys have used that system to say it applies to everyone. So they're acting like they can restrict the people when they can't. They can only restrict government personnel. And I can show you that in Arizona Constitution.
No, I'm totally with you on this, but we also know as believers, the three of us are believers, that God created laws because he needed to show us our sins so that we would want a savior. And so he knows we were going to be sinful, and he needed a way for us to be protected from each other, from getting robbed, from getting murdered, from getting raped, from getting blah, 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 blah. Those are not what we're talking about, right? We're just talking about, as far as that goes, the government trying to restrict.
Those are common law crimes you just spoke of.
Yeah. All right.
When one man harms another man. But notice you got people saying you got to have a passport to go around because you don't have a vaccine, or God told you to go preach the gospel everywhere. So they're telling you, you can't go somewhere unless you get a vaccine. You can't be open unless you wear a mask. You can't go outside and walk down the street unless you wear a mask and social distance. All of that stuff is government personnel rules that they're trying to apply to you because they know you don't know.
That's correct. And the Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, because when you don't know, then they can take all over. That's why most people freak out when they see things coming out of Washington, D.C. And a lot of things that come out of Washington, D.C. violates your very constitutional rights. And I'm like, don't focus on them, focus on your state. We have done so good here in Arizona. You guys want to talk a little bit about what you guys have done within the state of Arizona and how you've helped the people of Arizona? Do either one of you want to talk a little bit about that, or maybe you're not allowed to?
I think probably the number one thing we've done is, again, putting our legislature on notice and teaching them the Constitution, because a lot of them, even the attorneys, might have an understanding of statute. Because when you talk to the attorney, the first thing they do is they bring up statute or some type of case law. They don't bring up the Constitution. They don't bring up common law. And the common law, David, you correct me if I'm wrong, but common law is simply our Bill of Rights. You know, the Bills of Rights for every state is common law. It's based on common law. So it's I guess a little more generalized, you know, obviously, but it can't violate the Bills of Rights. So I think the one thing we've done is we've kind of notified these people, and we let them know, hey, you're trampling on our rights. You know, what you're doing is treasonous. I've sent David and I've drafted up affidavits of treason, and and I had it hand delivered to people that I like. I mean, these are people. It's not like I don't like these people, but I'm putting them on notice, letting them know what you're doing is wrong, and we're not going to stand for it any longer.
Like, what kind of affidavits are we talking about?
Well, it was in regards to the election.
Okay.
You know, and what happened, and our right, our right to have a forensic audit. You know, in Article 7, Section 7 of the Arizona Constitution clearly states only legal votes, should be counted. And we laugh about when a politician or somebody tells us, well, there was only a little bit of fraud, or we don't know how much fraud there was. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I don't need to explain to you how much fraud there was or how much there is. It does not matter. We, the people, are asking for a forensic audit because there is more than probable cause that there was some shenanigans that happened, and there was some big anomalies that happened, not only here but around the country. And we're asking them that they cannot guarantee us that this election. In this election, only legal votes are counted. They can't guarantee that. Mm-hmm. So the fact they can't guarantee that, we're asking for a forensic audit, and it's that simple.
Hey, Josh, when you win, and notice the wording I'm using, when you win, because I think you will. When you win, I would like you and your colleagues to revisit some of the rules when it comes to voting because what I have been schooled in since, working with some of my representatives, that anyone can request a federal ballot, and they don't have to prove that they're a U.S. citizen. They don't have to prove that they have the right to vote. So like if you had committed a felony and your right was taken away, the court has to grant you that right back. And that right, one of them is to vote and to carry firearms and so on and so forth. Now you can request a federal ballot and vote on federal elections, and the Secretary of State can't do anything about it. As far as Arizona or your state is concerned, it has to do with the federal government. So when you get into power, I would love for you to work with your colleagues and get rid of that, so that they have to prove that they are legally allowed to vote in a federal election, because that's one of the ways that we've had voter fraud in probably across the US, probably in all states, I would think.
Well, I know there was about, I'm trying to remember the exact number, 34 or 36,000 people that voted federal only. Mm-hmm. Now, the good thing is that I don't have to be in office to get this done. You know, and the one thing you're going to learn, and one thing David is, what I learned from him is, as one of the people, I probably have more power, honestly, than I would if I was in office. And what I mean by that is when you learn to digest this information over time, you know, you're going to learn that you have a lot more power than what you think. And this is something that's going to be addressed. I know the Kelly Townsend is addressing this issue, this very issue that we're speaking on. There's a lot of stuff going through the Senate and the House right now in Arizona to kind of shore up the elections for election integrity. You know, why it was not done prior, I have no idea. I've been screaming for voter ID for like 5 or 6 years now. I've been screaming for this federal only voting. We knew this last time. They didn't do anything about it.
No, they didn't. I've been told by some of the people down there that it's a federal thing and only the people in federal government can fix that. That's what I was told. And so I believe that to be true. And so when you're telling me now that you have the ability as a citizen to do this more than being in office in Congress, that kind of surprises me. It shouldn't, because I've seen how much power we've had as people here in Arizona. So it shouldn't surprise me, but it did. And I've written both of our senators and asking them to fix this. And of course, they're going with their party line. And
that's the thing. We don't ask them to do something. We demand that they do it. So that's the difference.
Neither one of these two are going to do anything that I asked or demand of them, because they're going to follow party line.
No, yes, they will.
Please explain, because I would like to get that fixed.
So, see, this is the reason why we have a hard time.
This is exactly the reason.
It's a psychological block. Even if you just talked about scenarios, right?
Right.
That Josh Barnett and I've been involved with, where we win, and you're like, the governor don't come get you. They don't send the health department, right? So in your mind, you're like, what the heck is going on here? Mm-hmm. This dude, he sent the governor notice telling him he was going to do this and use the Constitution, and he ain't come back, right? So I can see your mind continue to go, and you start thinking about other things. Now the same application is right in your face again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that the government officials work for you, then you approach them as if you're the boss. The boss walks in the room, kicks his feet up on the desk, and say, grab me a coffee. You're saying, I don't think they'll listen to me because these two, in your mind, you're psychologically giving them authority and power they don't have.
You are so right. You are so right. See, this is all new to me too. I mean, I knew some of it, but like when Josh spoke, I think that's why I was so intrigued by what he spoke, because he was opening my mind a little bit. Like, there was a way around this. Are you serious? Because I wanted a way around this, and I didn't know how to find the way around this. And so the fact that you and Josh found the way around it, I was like, literally wanted to stand up and applaud every time he was talking, because I was like, finally, someone is teaching us how to win, because I don't know how to win.
Notice Josh said they are servants.
Mm-hmm.
Our mind, we keep calling them leaders. It's like our leaders won't listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
Leader? What? They're indentured servants, right? You know, when slaves got done working and you wanted to figure out if they were going to stay with the master because they loved him or work for money after that? That's called an indentured servant. You have a trust indenture that tells your duties, and you promise to work for money, and you become my indentured servant for the time allotted. You serve me. The Constitution is what's called a trust indenture. It holds the granted authority you're going to give them and what they have, what they are limited, how they are limited. Excuse me. And what rights of mine they have to always protect. So when you understand that, they are our indentured servants. So if you have an indentured servant, they work at your house and you tell them what to do. is the indentured servant going to tell you, you know what, I'm not listening to you today. Get your own coffee.
Well, the millennials try to.
Yeah.
The millennials try.
You're at work, like, have you ever heard of recall? Do you not know that I'll like call your mom and tell her to come pick you up and put you back in the basement with your mom because you won't work here no more? Oh, you got it. Oh, okay. Right. A boss doesn't let the people who work there lock him out. But because our mentality is that we are the servants and they're great leaders and they're better than us, we let them do stupid stuff. And then we say stuff like, who's going to hold these people accountable? Let's call the FBI. Let's call the DOJ.
That's a joke.
Wait, we're the DOJ's boss.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So why are we calling our servants to fix an issue when they're all playing dirty?
It's true. They're all playing dirty.
Two things we do. Tell everybody else, tell all the people, and then everybody come back and tell them exactly what they're going to do.
And I think that's why Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have wanted to shut us all down, because this message that we're all three bringing is very powerful, because, you know, it's called freedom and it's called truth. And the truth will set you free. That's a biblical principle. The truth will set you free. And when I was listening to Josh, he was setting my mind free. He really was. Like, I knew some of this in the back of my mind. I just didn't know how to implement it. You know, I really didn't know how to move forward with, you know, I know that I am the consent of the governed. Like, whatever I say, you do. I understand that part. I just didn't know how to move forward with it.
Here's what you do. You gotta put them on. What, David? We've had this discussion with a lot of other people. So even with Senator Peterson the one time, and David kind of corrected him, and you know, the people, you know, if I text a senator and I text whoever and I say, hey, I want this to happen, or I'm not happy about this, or anything, right? And I want something corrected, I email them, I call them. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. They could be like, well, most of the time they want an answer, right? Unless they know you personally, and or you get some general response back. But what we do is we put them on notice in affidavit form. So what that does, that puts it on record. Okay, so when you put something on record, it's completely different than complaining on social media and tagging them or calling them or emailing them. So what you have to do is put them on notice via affidavit and or a declaration of your rights, I guess would be the other term for it. And that actually puts it on record. And you know, and we were told by one of the senators that you can't do that. You can only do this to the courts. You can't do that to the legislature. And even me, a non-lawyer gym owner, knew that was wrong. And David corrected him. So David went an extra step and wrote a notice the next day to them saying this is incorrect. Just so you know, our conversation we had yesterday, you know, we don't do it to be jerks to the legislature. These are people that we like, we get along with. Right. We're just put them on notice to be like, you were incorrect in what you said to us or said to me, and this is actually what is allowed. And a lot of times, you know, I have a feeling that this conversation that David and I have with one of the senators in particular built some trust between me and them in particular. And then now this senator and I have a completely different relationship now than maybe we did 2 months ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because this person realized that they were being lied to, or they weren't being told the whole truth by their attorneys. And with certain things like that, you start pointing things out. This is probably the second or third thing that was pointed out to this person, where they started realizing that they're not being told the whole truth, or they're being lied to straight up. And now it's built up enough trust with that person to reach out to me on certain things when things happen, reaching out to me. And like, that's why I always tell people, no matter how long your state senator or House representative has been there, whether they're a lawyer or not, a lot of these people need to be put on notice, because they may not know. They honestly just may not know, or they may just be being lied to.
So to make sure that that doesn't happen, we send notices out of Declaration of Rights.
So is that what we need to be doing as one step to fixing our vote? Because I know it's just one step. Honestly, I would love to use this affidavit thing to ban the Dominion machines. I have let all of our representatives that are Republican in both the House and Senate, let that be known that I want it in the law that you cannot use any of these voting machines again. I don't care if it's Smartmatic, I don't care if it's Dominion, I don't care what they call it. I do not want these machines in our elections again, because Josh, I want someone like you to win. And I want you to have a fair chance of doing that. And you are such a good candidate that if I feel that if we don't get this right now, we're not going to have a chance to elect you in 2022, because someone will put their people in as a lie and get you out and them in, and they weren't supposed to be there to begin with. So these are things like, I'm glad we're working on this now, and I cannot wait for it all to be exposed. They're saying like 60 days. Hopefully they'll find out more sooner than that, but at least by summertime, we should have some stuff concrete and evidence. So are you saying that maybe when it comes to the Dominion software that we should do stuff in like an affidavit form? Or do you think like as a group, as we were doing with getting the audit, that we just need to come in numbers and bombard them and say, this is what's going to happen? Like explain how we should move forward with like getting our elections with like a federal ballots, an ID required, getting the Dominion or any of those machines out of our elections. Like explain how we should move forward with that.
A lot of that stuff is happening, right? Like I said, right now with bills that are being introduced or were introduced and voted on. Just for example, just right now, I looked at my screen. The Mass Freedom Bill passed through the Senate and is going to go to Ducey's desk. So they are doing stuff. You know, we have a very slight majority in the Senate in particular, well, in both houses, but
both houses.
The Senate, you know, we've seen where you got, you know, fake Republican rhinos like Boyer.
Yeah. Yep, he's leaving. Got to
Yes.
be recalled. Bye.
Yes, exactly.
I helped with that.
We have, you know, for example, right now, we are asking the Maricopa Board of Supervisors, and I'm saying asking right now because we're not demanding yet. We're trying to work with them on a few things to get rid of Dominion, to get rid of the Dominion machines. Now, there's 2 Board of Supervisors that have agreed and think that is the right thing to do. We need 3. The third one that I'm aware of is about 50-50. So I've made it very clear to this person that, you know, we're very close on a couple of them with the recall already.
Oh, that's great.
Where Heather Carter, the rhino, Heather Carter, is trying to raise money with a GoFundMe for Bill Gates because they know that his butt's going to get recalled.
Good.
And, you know, so good luck with that because we've been, those signatures have been getting checked as they come through. So we're not waiting. We're not, you know, we know that they're good. You know, they're valid signatures. So the numbers that are being posted out from We the People AZ Alliance are actual numbers that have been verified or signatures that have been verified, not just some random number.
Is it on their website? Is that update like that? No,
I don't think they're posting like, you know, like that on the website. Just kind of every so often they're putting numbers out. But I'll tell you right now, Bill Gates, Clint Hickman, and Sellers in particular should all be very, very concerned or start looking for a new job.
Clint Hickman too?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, tell We the People, like I know a guy who I would stand behind to run for Clint Hickman's spot. Unless they already have their candidate, I'm just saying.
You know what? We're all ears, you know, because we would probably, they have a commission they put together to sit down with people to get behind. And there are some people that are in mind that have even been, you know, spoken with behind the scenes, I guess you would say.
Oh, good. Okay.
And say, hey, would you be interested in taking this position or running for this position when the recall is completed? So we, you know, I know they've been reaching out and talking to people, and if anybody is interested in that position, to contact We the People AZ Alliance and let them know that there is interest in doing that.
Okay. Yeah, because I met with a man last week, and he does have a city council position, and I don't know if you met him. He was at our networking event a couple weeks ago, Josh. But
yeah, at a Buckeye.
Yeah, Goodyear. The guy I know. Good year.
Yes.
Oh, you got to talk to him too?
Yeah, I know who he is. Yes.
Yeah, I sat with him and we had lunch for like 2 hours. It's someone like I feel like I could stand behind. From just like I can tell you from a law enforcement perspective, they haven't given their guys raises in a while, and their numbers are shrinking because of the environment that's being portrayed across the nation with defund the police and such. No one wants the job. No one wants the job. They're afraid of being persecuted for arresting people or being put on blast because if their color doesn't match, if they're arresting the wrong color, they're scared. They're really scared, and they've been worked so hard, and the supervisors, just to my knowledge, haven't given them raises and the equipment they need. So I would be glad to see them go. So that's really good news. I'm glad. I knew we were going to win this. I just knew with the recalls. I just knew it.
You know, the best thing the recall did, I mean, at least in my eyes, is applied major pressure.
I agree.
Not only on them, but also on the state legislature, to the point where we're letting them know that the people are in control. You're not going to just do whatever you want any longer. Those days are over with. And I've been saying that for a few months. Those days are over and done with. If you don't, we're not going to be petty, every little thing you do, and we're going to recall you. We're talking about major things that are happening right now that are not being done properly. And that's what has led to this recall. And if the people that are in these positions, these elected positions, aren't going to listen to the people and to the will of the people, then you're going to get recalled. And that's kind of what I feel is the best thing that happened, because the number one goal, at least in my mind, for the recall was to get a forensic audit. We get a forensic audit. That's the win that we all wanted. And that was the whole point of the recall on the Board of Supervisors, was to get this forensic audit. Now, we had one that voted for the forensic audit, Steve Chukri. Now, Steve, that's a whole nother story I can get into. But I was on a Facebook Live on a show with Steve Chukri. I kind of ambushed him. He didn't know I was going to be there. And I was speaking out pretty heavily against him in particular. And we had words, and I got him, we had words in between the breaks as well, but I got him to admit live that he wants to have a forensic audit. He was for it. He was going to vote yes. So I helped arrange through Eric Wanuck, who did, and Steve Shelby from We the People AZ, arranged a meeting the next morning with Rudy Giuliani, Colonel Waldron, and some other people. I think Senator Fincham was there. I think Senator Borelli was in the other room screaming at everybody. I love Senator Borelli, man.
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
You know what? If it wasn't for Senator Borelli, I honestly am not sure, outside of what we were doing, that this would actually happen.
Can we pause this and do a round 3? Because I want to get into this. People are going to want to hear what you're going to have to say. So let's pick up round 3.
Okay.
And
gotcha.